and I think you'll see that that may be influencing some of the things that we'll be discussing today. But I just want to take a few minutes and share with you something that's really helped me since the pandemic started. I was doing a presentation back to my old sort of haunt, if you will, with the International City Managers Association, and one of the other presenters presented this slide, and I'm just going to read it to you, and if you're interested in it, we can get it to you. But it asked a pretty pointed question that resonated with me. It said, who do you want to be during COVID-19? And, I was, doing what we were all doing, trying to figure out what was next. This was April, kind of trying to help lead and be a community member. And of course, the first zone that they talk about is the fear zone. And so they ask questions like, or make statements like, I grab food, toilet paper, and medications that I don't need. I get mad easily. I complain frequently. And so that was the fear zone. And in some cases that hit a little too close to home, but some of those questions resonated with me. And then, of course, the next zone is the learning zone. And they ask questions like, or make statements like, I evaluate information before spreading something false. I start to give up when I can't control. I become aware of the situation and think how to act. Of course, all places that I want to be, right? That we want to be as a community. We want to be in that learning zone. And then the last zone that they discussed as it related to COVID-19, of course, was the growth zone. And so some of the statements they make there is, I thank and appreciate others. I keep a happy emotional state and spread hope. I live in the present and focus on the future. And those statements all resonated with me and have helped me. And it allowed me to sort of take inventory, if you will, throughout the day of how do I want to be during COVID? And it's something that I've also sort of applied to just general life and of just how do we want to be. And so I think you're going to hear a little bit of this theme today and really talking about what we're doing in the area of youth. And as we start the school year, I know really want to thank all of our partners for being here today. It's a hectic week, and I think just the fact that we have people here today and we're looking to the future and we're being present, I think it does demonstrate as a community that we are in this growth zone, whether it's with COVID or any other issue that we're dealing with. And so I'm very proud to be a part of that, very proud to be with our partners today, extremely proud of our community and staff. And so thank you for being here today. Just want to talk a little bit about the agenda and maybe just give you my take on a few of the items. Take it what it's worth. I'll just leave it at that. Take it for what it's worth. So first thing that we're going to be talking about is school mental health. During COVID-19, we'll be hearing from our superintendents about the reopening of our schools and what they are doing to support student and staff mental health and well-being. Mental health and well-being is going to be a theme today. That's something that we've been working on. We were fortunate that we had began to roll out our programs at the health district. We've been working with the school districts on mental health and well-being before COVID, and it's certainly something that we've seen amplified in the last 5 to 6 months. The schools have been working since late April. One of the things that early April, one of the things that we've seen with COVID-19 is it's had a certain rhythm. I think early on we were talking about closures. We were able to meet with the school districts and the cities and the business community all together and talk about what was kind of coming. That happened in early March. So we had the closures, and then we had discussions about reopening with the city. We had discussions with the businesses, knowing all along that kind of schools were coming. There was some question about what was going to happen at the end of the year, but we've all known that this week was coming. We weren't sure what form it was going to be in, and the schools have been diligently working with all their partners and participating with us since March and April to figure out kind of what's next and be in that growth zone as it relates to school opening. One thing that I'm experiencing, is just this sense of connection and being able to rely on our partners and rely on our friends. I think one thing that I've experienced is just, where there may be this sense of powerlessness. Many of us have never experienced something that we're completely powerless over. We're powerless over this this disease, this virus, and we're powerless over what LA County does and doesn't do. But that doesn't mean that we're hopeless. We can do things. We can take steps. But I don't know. For me, there's a certain power, if you will, in surrendering but not giving up to what's happening, of just sort of an acceptance of, okay, I've never experienced a pandemic before. It's not something I want to be doing, but that doesn't mean that there aren't steps that we can't take together, and we certainly are stronger together. And so you'll hear about how we're doing that from each of the superintendents as it relates to school mental health. Then the fun part for me is the Youth Advisory Council. I just continue to be blown away by the students that we have and the youth that are participating. In my experience over the years, oftentimes you'll see a push with a student organization that might be related to a couple of individuals, for a time or so. Those of you that have been involved with youth sports or that sort of thing may have seen that. But what we're seeing here, certainly over the 4 years that I've been here, is just this continued sort of hit parade, if you will, of leaders. Just when we think, oh no, what's going to happen when so-and-so graduates or moves on, here comes the next group. And you're going to see that again today with the presentation that they've been making. They've been helping us with a COVID-19 campaign. And so we've gotten to sort of merge the youth and their creative ideas with our communications team, and I think you'll see that the results are stunning, and really makes me happy to see the results that we've seen from their efforts. They can be the best messengers. I think you've heard me say over and over as we have this discussions about youth that we have to be careful as adults to not come in and think that we know what's best, because in my mind this really does come down to what's going to work for the youth. Otherwise, it won't happen. That's been my experience, and we're extremely fortunate to have the group that we do, and we'll be hearing from them today. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the Youth Wellness Center. Dr. Adelsheim is here. He's going to be talking to us and giving an update there. I think all of you are aware that we've been working on that, and I think you're aware of some exciting news where we've been designated for some funding from the state for this, and that was something that we applied for and competed for, and we've been awarded that funding, and we're going to talk about what's next with that, and we're extremely happy to have Dr. Adelsheim and some of his colleagues from Stanford here today. And then we're going to spend most of the time today talking about drug-free communities and having a community conversation about sort of what's next with drug-free communities. We've done work with vaping. Obviously, opioids is a huge concern of us, and the discussion that we're going to have today is going to be around alcohol. That's one that bluntly this community has had trouble talking about in the past. We've been able to talk about it here lately. We've been able to talk about it with our steering committee. One of the things that we heard from the steering committee was, yes, youth alcohol use is a concern, but we had a lot of discussion from them about modeling and as parents and older adults in the community, and the kids are watching. And so while this will be a discussion about alcohol and youth alcohol, a huge component will be what do we do as adults, and how does that work as far as us modeling that behavior, and what does that look like throughout our culture in the beach cities. And so that may be an uncomfortable conversation. It's one that this community has not had, and we're looking forward to having it today with your help. And so as far as folks that have helped us with the agenda, here's the steering committee. And I think many of them are here today. As far as our board members, I want to mention a few that are here today, and Allie, feel free to help me, but I believe that Vanessa Poster is here today, and Vish Chatterjee I know is planning to be here. I think Jane Beal was planning to be here as well. Am I missing any of our board members that are here today?
I'm here, Tom.
Oh, Vish is here. Great.
Nice to see everyone.
I'm here. This is Vanessa.
Great. So welcome, and here's our group of steering committee members. You can see that we have council members, we have school district representatives, we have people from the medical community here, and so very pleased with our steering committee and their ability to help guide us as we move forward with our program. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've been doing during COVID at the health district. We've been able to shift our resources. Normally during this week, some of our staff would be in the schools physically doing programs. We've been able to work with the schools to have those programs be virtual. We've been assisting with training. So you can see on the left-hand side that all of the programs that we would normally be doing in person, like the exercise lessons, that those have all been done virtually, and we're assisting the schools with that. Health and safety, and again, this model is one that all of the schools have been following and comes from LA County. But health and safety, we've been assisting with PPE. One thing that we're real proud of in the Beach Cities, thanks to the partnership with the school districts, is a screening tool or app that we've been able to develop in partnership with Children's Hospital. We had a former strategic planning committee member that's now with Children's Hospital, and so we were able to develop this tool that basically you have the parents or the kids answer questions about their health, and it either gives them a red screen or a green screen, and they can show their phone as they move past the school officials and move into the schools. And so it's something that is being tried right now with child development centers, with preschool or child care rather. And so when, not if, but when there will be a time that there will be in-person learning, this tool is one that I think will be of great use to the school districts. And also the other sort of big issue, of course, is testing. I think, as most people know, we operate with LA County a testing site at Beach Cities Health District. And so that enables us to work with our partners like the schools to address their testing needs when that time comes. And so those are just some of the things that we're doing as a health district in partnership with the schools. And very excited to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Tom. First off, I'd like to thank everyone for being here this morning. It shows a commitment of our community and the beach cities towards social emotional health. I'd also just like to really thank Beach Cities during what has been an extraordinarily challenging time for our schools. Beach Cities has proven to be a continued outstanding partner, and we just gratefully appreciate. I mean, from the wellness programs to whole child, it always has a Beach City stamp on it. So thank you for your partnership. So when it comes to social emotional health in Hermosa Beach, our theme this year is connecting together apart. And really, this is trying to approach our school year recognizing the realities of the distance between our staff and our students, but at the same time, too, working towards better connections for that very fact. So we've been working off the California Social Emotional Learning Framework and primarily focusing on relationship skills in our first trimester. So our goal is to really create a framework where we can focus on relationship mapping and connection to support those students that feel disconnected, so they can connect with their teachers, the staff, as well as each other. So as a first step, just logistically, we used our emergency fund money to fund an additional counselor for this school year. we were down to a 0.5 counselor because of budget cuts, but we really felt that this was a sound investment going into a year that would begin in distance learning. So therefore, we're bringing back that counselor full-time and then investing in another additional counselor to focus on social emotional health. We're working on creating a system, since we have an additional counselor now, where our teachers, our parents, and staff have the ability to access that counselor. So we're creating a form whereby all stakeholders could request a counselor check-in. And then during the course of the first month, what we'll be doing is really trying to determine student needs and create small group counseling across our 2 schools, so that you have like needs that are grouped together in order to maximize the amount of small group counseling that we can provide for students. We also are trying to be proactive in our communication, so our principals are putting out weekly newsletters. And in that, we will have counselor tips of the week that will include information about how to support your child at home, and also to our teachers about how to supporting our children in school. We're also looking at virtual resources and creating a counselor corner with our website. Neighboring school districts have created virtual calming rooms, and so that is another venture that we're looking into designing ourselves. But really, when it comes from our scheduling, we do realize that our teachers are on the front line of this. And so we've embedded within our schedule for distance learning and for hybrid learning time just devoted to social emotional learning. This has always been a part of the school day, to have activities that were dedicated. But we really felt that we needed to literally outline it in the school day, that time is set aside within the daily schedule for social emotional learning. We'll be continuing with our SEL curriculums, Mind Up, and we've also invested at the secondary level into Second Step, which will be taught by our PE teachers in order to, again, really focus on mindfulness curriculums that will support our students during this time. And then we're working with our counselors. We have professional development every Monday embedded in our schedule. And so we'll be focusing, even in this upcoming, we start our school year next week. And so we have 3 days of professional development, and one of those will be devoted to student engagement as well as relationship mapping. And then we'll be reinstituting our programs such as Start the Day with Hello. But really, at the end of the day, we recognize that this year has many barriers within it. And we are really messaging to our teachers and to our staff that, the focus right now is connection. It doesn't mean that we're minimizing academics, but it does mean that in order to reach academic success, you really have to double down in the connections that you're making with your students, because as we said, like there's a reality here about connecting together while you're apart. And so we want to acknowledge that and work with that. So thank you for letting me give you this update. I will have to leave early today because I have to be in another meeting, but the great Ted Scott, my principal, will be here. And he very much is the mastermind behind this plan. I'm just the mouthpiece. So thanks to him for being here, and thanks to Beach Cities for the invitation today.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Johnson. All right, Dr. Matthews, you're up.
Okay, well, first of all, let's welcome Dr. Johnson. This is his, I think first time to be in this role as a new superintendent. And Dr. Keller and I asked Allie to make sure he went first, because that's what our new superintendent should do, right? So Jason, great job. Great to have you on board with this team. And you're right, it is an amazing team that we all have. So thoughts about social and emotional wellness. My back went out this July. And I was clear that I wasn't following the Blue Zone's rules of making time to downshift. I think everyone on this Zoom and everyone beyond can say that it's been just constant, right? We have work at home, school at home, and everything at home. And it just doesn't go away. And so I can personally tell you that when you don't make that time to downshift, it will come back and bite you. So I encourage all of us to not only make it one of our priorities, but to make sure that those we work with in the schools and in the community do the same. I'm in a master's swim group, and this morning when we worked out, we did something new. We breathed in on the stroke, and then in the water, we screamed as loud as we could. I thought it was stupid, but it felt kind of good. And so just one more way of being safe. And I want to share a story from a Beach Cities Health District board member. Vish, I saw you on board. Hello. Vish spoke to our Rotary group earlier in the summer, and one of his stories stuck with me that he advised people to meditate for either 20 or 30 minutes a day, and a person asked him, what if I don't have time to do that? I mean, I'm too busy. And the answer was, then you probably need to do twice that amount. And so that's what we have to do, folks. So in our schools, we're trying to make time for our kids to downshift and for our teachers to downshift. What a weird thing it is in the first week of school not to see your students face to face. It's important to get to know kids, right? And so that's a whole unusual thing. I've been talking to teachers about how it's going, and we wrote to parents and said, hey, we're not going to jump into a hardcore curriculum right away. We're going to try to get to know kids at least at first, and have some stories with that. I saw kindergarten students holding kind of flat Stanley, sticks of their teachers, just some ways to do that. And so we're working on getting to know each other, and that's really hard to do in a distance environment. Like Dr. Johnson mentioned, we have a Wednesday time every week when we're not having screens on all day. We think that's healthy for teachers. We think that's healthy for students. There is in the middle school and the high school, a social and emotional wellness class that day. And like Dr. Johnson mentioned, we'll be doing a lot of the second step work with that. But it's also a time when we can just slow down, get to know each other, and work together and work on some of the, the issues that are out there. I had different clubs talking to people at that time. We hope that maybe the students on the coalition can help us out with this. We hope our students take Wednesdays, which aren't as structured, and make clubs run those days, right? Clubs are a great thing at school because it's totally what you're interested in, and it gives you that sense of purpose, which is another Blue Zone's critical element, right? And so we hope our students take that initiative. Clubs are not teacher-driven. Clubs are student-driven, and so we hope we're going to encourage it, but it's up to students to do that themselves. Finally, I want to talk about, we've been working with Beach Cities, and Allie comes to our social and emotional wellness committee. One of our key goals is to create a climate of care in our district, because so much pressure on the academics and the drive to excel, but creating that climate of care. But over this pandemic time, what's become very clear is we need to strengthen and broaden that goal. The Black Lives Matter movement and the continuing violence against African Americans have led our board to push that goal to something bigger, and we're going to finalize those goals in our next meeting. But it's going to include equity, it's going to include anti-racism, and it's going to include those elements that can make things different. We're going to be changing our curriculum to be a more inclusive curriculum. Those of us in Manhattan Beach know about Bruce's Beach, but I don't think our kids are taught that. So that should become part of our curriculum as well, because you can't have social emotional wellness if everyone doesn't feel safe first and foremost. And so that's going to be a big part of what we do. So in a time when we're at home, when we're all on our screens way too much, we have to fight to keep making connections, and we're going to try to help that in the schools. We have to keep learning and doing our jobs. That does not go away, but we have to make time to fight for our own health and to fight for everybody out there. And we'll be trying to do our part in the schools, and we know that here in Beach Cities Health District, you'll be working with this side by side like you have for a long, long time. We enjoy working with Hermosa and Redondo. We were great partners together, and we're looking forward to a meaningful year.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. All right, Dr. Keller.
Hi, everybody. Everybody well? I'm clear to be in this meeting, just so you know. It has a date and a time, and that's how you get in the door in this district. So thanks to Beach Cities Health District, thanks to the team, Children's Hospital of LA, and everybody. couple things. One is, I hope everybody's well. That'll be the first thing. I really appreciate. I didn't know Hermosa Beach got a new superintendent. When did that happen? By the way, he did well. Everything Mike and Jason said, I think we're all on the same page. We're all hustling and trying to do the right thing for our kids, for our community, and for our families, and of course our staff members. And I think that's the added enhanced element for all of us is this just connecting with our staff members. We have some staff members who are struggling, and so this work has never been more important. So I will tell you there are some great family resources that we provide on our website. It's funny because every now and then when I'm having a tough day, I'll actually scroll down to the 2021, I think it's under the distance learning icon, and pull down a video just to kind of balance myself. So I think we've all, as staff members, especially here at the district office, have utilized those videos that I thought at one time would provide support for someone else. And I think they're providing support for a lot of us here. A lot of things the folks before me have shared, we have, the social emotional well-being, this focus on the whole child in Redondo Beach. This has been a decade plus advocacy, social emotional well-being, physical fitness, health and nutrition. And then of course, those play into the academic success of our kids. And that's just been part of our DNA for the last decade plus. And so it's never been, we never thought we would need it so significantly and didn't realize that, a pandemic was eventual. But I think now more than ever, this has been very, this focus has served us well as a collective learning community, no doubt about it. We have the Mind Up lessons for the elementary folks. We have Beach Cities Health District and our PE teachers pushing out morning SEL lessons, socio-emotional learning lessons, and of course, PE, physical fitness lessons. Our middle schoolers, I'm a middle school former principal teacher, the forgotten kids in the middle. We do a lot with our middle school kids because we know that's where a lot of that transition takes place. And so we have obviously the second step, focused on our adolescent kids to promote safety and well-being for a very sometimes at-risk population. I personally love middle school, but I know a lot of people, it's a traumatic experience. Our counselors just really pushing the self-care, mindful tips for staff and students and families, trauma-informed training for all staff. That is all new to us, and we really are learning as we go. But we're just, as I shared with you, we're finding more and more people are in a tough spot, and that includes, again, not just parents, but our staff members as well. Mike touched on something in our district, and I just think it's a reality of our world, which is we're implementing a new diversity and equity committee, focused on anti-racism, social justice, and equity, and we're excited about it. I know our neighbors are doing something along those lines and moving in a direction of really attacking this, and I think sometimes folks in the South Bay get lost in this. But our district and I think our neighboring districts are excited to, create a better world for everybody. And I think we're on board with that, and so is our school board. The South Bay's Family Connected and Care Solace continue to provide our families with resources that have those special needs. And so obviously I want to thank them. And I will tell you, I'm always stunned at how often these services are realized by our parents and families. It's sometimes, in the busyness of our jobs, we don't realize some of the needs that are out there and how significant and how high the numbers are, especially during COVID. So thank you to those two resources. One of the big things under SB Senate Bill 98 is tracking disengaged learners. That's a big thing of ours this year, not just because it's a Senate bill, but because we want to ensure that our kids that are not exactly dialing in and zooming in and WebExing in and connecting are getting the support that they need. So we call 10 touches. If a kid is disengaged, we're emailing, we're texting, if we have to, we'll go to their house, obviously, appropriately distanced, following all the protocols necessary. But we really are focused on those kids, that small percent that we have that are, just not engaging. And so I think that's probably one of our biggest focuses right now. I do want to acknowledge Dr. Wesley, our Assistant Superintendent of HR, and Allie and the team there at Beach Cities. We have our Employee Work Well program with Beach Cities Health District. I'm reading my notes now, focused on fitness, financial wellness. That's a great piece, especially now, financial wellness, mental well-being, or I call it emotional well-being, We started with 3 schools last year. We'll continue this year. We'll probably do it remotely at all of our schools, but we're excited about that and pushing that forward. We found success last year for sure, and there's no better time like now to push that out to all of our schools. I just want to be clear, this work is, starts with our school board, starts with Beach Cities Health District, all the support we get from Beach Cities, and then, obviously our team here at the district office. But I will tell you, really, the biggest pieces are our principals and our teachers on the front line, as my 2 colleagues shared earlier. It's their work, it's their heavy lift, and I'm just proud to work with this team. And I couldn't be prouder of our team in light of a pandemic that has turned everything upside down. But at the same time, there's so much more to do every time you wake up. And you're on your way to work and you're realizing there are 14 new tasks to take on. But this community has embraced this challenge, and I have some sense of optimism in our work, and I'm proud to be part of this with everybody here, including Mike and Jason, my friends in the neighboring districts. Thank you.
We're going to move along, and I'm going to turn it right over to the students. They've been working hard. Tom mentioned this on a campaign to raise awareness about COVID-19. And so I'm going to turn it over to Rani, one of our students from the Youth Advisory Council.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you guys hear me? My screen is frozen, sorry. Okay, great. Hi everyone, I'm Rani, and I'm a sophomore at Redondo Union High School. I've been on the Youth Advisory Council since 8th grade, so this is going to be the start of my 3rd year. One of my favorite projects I've worked on took place last October when I worked on the Photo Voice campaign. This project involved making a slideshow to promote our anti-vaping campaign. It took a lot of time, effort, and teamwork to make this slideshow, which ended up being over 50 slides. 2 other members of the work group and I got the opportunity to present this slideshow that we had spent our summer working on at the Tobacco Use Prevention Education Youth Advocacy Leadership Conference. The 3 of us presented to a crowd of kids our age who were advocating for the same thing. It was so much fun and definitely the most memorable experience. I decided to participate in the summer work group part of the Youth Advisory Council because I knew that the work during the summer was what kick-started the work during the school year. So I wanted to be a part of deciding our biggest issues and goals for the upcoming Youth Advisory Council meetings, and I wanted to be a part of making the blueprint for the rest of the year. This summer was my 2nd time being on the summer work group, and it has definitely been different since our main focus is no longer drug prevention, but instead deadly pandemic prevention. However, in a way, I enjoyed this year a little bit better because the work that we put into PSAs to encourage physical distancing, wearing face coverings, and staying home when sick will directly be shown to the students in the form of videos and posters. Whereas last year, outside of the TUBE conference or the Tobacco Use Prevention Education Conference, our work was only shown to parents and adults. Over the past 2 summers, I've learned a lot, probably too much, about every single ingredient in a vape. And definitely a lot about preventing the spread of COVID-19, since that's what we're focusing on this year. But I've also learned a lot about how to work in a group, how to communicate with each other, and how to give and take input from others and implement it in the most efficient ways possible. I've also learned a lot about emailing and how to avoid getting kicked off of Zoom. As for things I've contributed, it's all a team effort, but my work with the Photo Voice campaign and the video PSA for physical distancing are probably my biggest contributions. Something I would like to tell adults about the impact of COVID-19 on teens is to imagine being our age when you were still teenagers and having a bunch of things that you know taken away from you all of a sudden. Friends, school, sports. Now imagine it 10 times more complicated because of social media. Just to be considerate that we are all going through tough times too, and we'll get through this together. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Rani. So we also wanted to share some of the work of the Youth Advisory over the summer. So these posters will all be available on our Beach Cities website. We'll be sharing them after the meeting. So these were all inspired by the designs of the Youth Advisory Council, and they worked closely with our communications department over the summer. So we'll definitely be getting copies out to the schools, and any community partners will have them available for download. So Rani, thank you for all your work over the summer and really over the past several years. It's been great to learn from you, and we really appreciate your leadership. So next up we have Camille, and she's going to give an update on a video some of the students were able to record over the summer.
Yes, so my name is Camille Jorenby, and I'm currently a sophomore at Maricosta. I've been on the Youth Advisory Council for 1 year, and one of my favorite projects on this council is similar to Ryan said. I really enjoyed the vaping presentation that we did. I really enjoyed working with other students, and we all worked on different parts of the presentation. I also enjoyed giving it to PTA board meeting, giving the presentation. I think it was just a good way to work with students about an issue that we all really cared about. I think it's really important for students to use their voices during COVID-19. Right now, a lot of people need the input from youth and how to better a lot of the promotions and everything, which is very good. We did on the summer work group, are more focused towards adults, but having it based more towards the youth is very important. We're going around, in general, we're more social. We want to be with our friends, and it's just really impacting us. It's impacting social life. School's different. We're still trying to get adjusted to it. Our teachers are doing a great job, but it's just different not being able to interact with students in class, seeing seat partners. Extracurriculars are very hard to continue right now. I'm someone who plays an instrument, and it's not the same not being part of an orchestra, and it's just very different. Some sports are happening, others aren't, and right now just like a chaos, like a storm going in each student's brain and all around us. So one of the things we did on the summer is we made a video on how COVID-19 has been affecting youth. This video has input from, I think, elementary schoolers through high schoolers, how it's affecting us, and what we would like adults to know about. And I'll hand it over to the video.
All right, thank you, Camille. And I will turn it over to Jade. She's going to queue up the video. And again, these are some students from our Youth Advisory Council and also students in elementary school as well. So again, this will also be available after this meeting.
Is probably going on vacation and being in different areas, because I really enjoy, going to LA, traveling. That's something I really look forward to in the summer, and that has been something that I have missed, had to cancel plans.
Go to fun places like Legoland and Disneyland, and I like the beach a lot too.
So I think being at school, I kind of miss the interactions, but at home it is still a bit easier to do your personal work.
But just the in-class dynamic of being able to meet new people and talk to them and know that when you get to class every day, you're sitting next to this person and you get to talk to them and interact with them.
Class interaction and all my friends, and being able to get the help that I need from teachers when I need it.
I haven't been able to see my family back in Vietnam due to the pandemic. Well, hopefully I'm able to see them next school year or sometime next summer.
I didn't get to see my grandmother and my cousins like I usually do, and school was totally different. It was on a Zoom. One was face support.
We cannot do too much or spend time with our friends and family members.
I've stayed connected with my friends and family members throughout this time by just playing video games and chatting with them through online platforms.
Sometimes FaceTime or text each other.
The main way I've done has been doing either Zoom sessions with friends or FaceTiming with them. I really enjoy talking about my day, how different activities such as summer school have been going, and I also enjoy playing games.
Usually I just scream at my pillow.
Go up in my room and rest on my bed, and sometimes I just write in my notebook, and sometimes I just give space to everybody and I just go on the couch and rest.
When I feel stressed out, I take deep breaths and think of more happy things.
I know some friends that have been struggling with more mental health because they're just locked up inside all day. And so I think that adults need to understand that empathy is the best way to go right now, considering that we're a little more fragile than usual.
That it's really hard to not be able to see your friends every day and get to socialize like normal, because I feel like a lot of our normal summer plans are kind of canceled or up in the air. And then going to senior year is going to be a little bit rocky because it's where's my prom, where's things I was looking forward to all these years.
That it is just as hard for them. Maybe it is a little bit harder for them than us because they're having to take care of us if you're a parent or even if you're a teacher. But I think that they know what we're going through for the most part because they also are feeling similar feelings to us. So I think that that's all I would say to them.
All right, thank you to all of our students who helped with that video. So we apologize if there were any technical issues on your end. We'll make sure to include the link to that video in the chat, and that will also be included in the follow-up email. So I want to thank our students again for being here this morning. And next on our agenda, we're really excited to have Dr. Adelsheim and members of his team here to give us an update on the Youth Wellness Center and allcove. So I will turn it back over to Jade. We're going to pull up some slides here that his team will take us through. So just to bring us up to speed, we've been having a conversation about a physical space in the Youth Wellness Center since back in January of 2019. Many of you were here with us in January of this year, which seems like quite a long time ago, when Dr. Adelsheim gave a keynote address about the concept of the Youth Wellness Center. And then Tom mentioned we were recently awarded some funding through the state. So we do want to acknowledge all of our partners. This was an exciting day in early May, about 6 weeks into pandemic, that we learned that we would be one of the 5 new grantees from across the state of California to bring the allcove concept into reality. And so we want to thank all those who were able to provide those letters of support. We know it was especially complicated during a pandemic trying to get letters during that time. So we really appreciate you and your ongoing support. So I will turn it over to Dr. Adelsheim to give us a brief update on what's happened since January.
Thank you, Allie, and good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for including all of us. I really want to begin by congratulating all of you for not only receiving this award for the allcove development, but looking at the amazing work you've been doing the last number of months during this pandemic, and the support that all of you have brought together is really incredible to see. And for the young people that have been involved in developing so many wonderful programs and supports, congratulations to all of you, to the superintendents and the wonderful things happening in your schools. It's really amazing and inspiring to see, and frankly to Tom and Allie and Jade and the youth that were involved in putting together an amazing application for this allcove funding. Congratulations to you. And I just want you to know that for our team, we're so excited to be working with you all moving forward on this youth wellness related effort. Just a reminder to everyone that, you know, as we're working together on creating these integrated youth mental health programs, allcove in California, we're really trying to create a space for young people to, as we've heard before, stop and catch your breath, get a moment of pause, and then be able to get the support you need to continue along your way. Can we go to the next slide, please? Great. So just a reminder that, you know, there were multiple components built into this allcove model, and the vision continues to be building all of them. And as you see up there, part of the question is becoming in terms of the timing as we look towards rolling out these sites in the Beach Cities area and other communities around around California, what ultimately that is going to end up looking like. As we're talking in Santa Clara County right now, one of the questions is, what kinds of virtual services do we begin looking at in support of the young people? You're already doing that. Part of the question is, how do we continue to think about these in an expanded way while we work towards the development of these physical locations over time as well, which are core to the allcove effort too. And looking to a future where we can all be back together again, that'll be an important space for all of us to have. Next slide, please. So just a reminder, so as we're moving ahead with allcove, there are many, many areas and components to this. And we're going to hear briefly from some of the colleagues on our team, Cristiane, Cunial, who will be talking with you briefly about the learning community that we're hoping and excited to be developing with all of you. And then Neha, Kumar, who's helping and coordinating all of our data and evaluation related efforts. But our team is really excited because we will be working with all of you as sort of the implementation support for your program, as well as the others around the state that are developing allcove sites. The goal is to have really a model that will be consistent across the sites, you know, that allows for some unique location-focused specialization, but overall is providing a coordinated set of supports and services with common clinical components, common support for youth advisors, ensures the appropriate informed consent confidentiality for all young people. And as you see in these other boxes, trying to create a model and a program that if, you know, young people are going from the Santa Clara site to the site in Beach Cities, they'll be able to recognize, right, this is an allcove site, and this is like the program that I just came from to the next community, so that we can be looking at consistent programs across the state. So that's an important piece. We're excited to be partnering with you. I'm gonna quickly then ask Cristiane to briefly introduce herself and tell you about the learning community. So we can go to the next slide.
Oh, hello, I'm Cristiane Cunial, and I'm the implementation manager with the allcove team. So again, also really, really excited to be involved in all your work. I just want to say it's really been impressive to look at your community plan and hear about all the support that's being put into place for young people, and really excited that, you know, we are so aligned on so many different goals, you know, principally to support young people in their health and well-being, but also youth partnerships and bringing that service system together. So just briefly, we are setting up a learning community for our, you know, our establishing learning allcove centers, but also any other parties and organizations and groups that are interested in bringing allcove to their communities. So I know you have, you know, you have a really well-established coalition here. And so we're also looking forward to, you know, seeing how our learning community can fit into the great work that you're already doing here on the ground. So principally we'll have two focus areas. One will be training and education, and the other one will be network and knowledge sharing. With training and education, it's really about making sure that there's that consistency that Steve was talking about, making sure that everybody understands what the model and the model components are and how they work together. So putting together really fundamental resources, and online training modules that further kind of expand those components of the model and how to implement them in local, in your local community. That will also be complemented with just technical advice meetings that will be able to come out and work with you. And that is a really exciting part of our work, actually. And then focused workshops around evaluation, because that will be a big collaborative piece of work that we'll be doing together with your allcove and also the other allcoves in the other areas in California. And then a focus on model integrity and what that means, and trying to make sure that each allcove center is able to self-assess around how they're bringing the components together, and then do that in a kind of facilitated way with our team. The other area is the network and knowledge sharing. I think that's really exciting piece there. It's putting some, some ways for the allcove sites to communicate together, which will be a listserv, contact lists, newsletters, evaluation collaborative, as I've said earlier, and really, bringing together the network of centers together every couple of years to just share information, share challenges, strengths, look at best practice across the network. So really looking forward to getting that happening. All of this will be, co-designed with the Beach Cities allcove and all the other sites. So looking forward to actually working with you on the ground and the coalition to see what's going to really bring, value to your allcove and all the other allcoves in California through this learning community.
Thanks, Cristiane. And Cristiane comes to us from actually the program in Australia, Headspace, where this model is really based on. And she's done a lot of work in rolling out programs in Australia around this model. So we're very excited and lucky to have her as part of our team. So thank you very much. If we go to the next slide, we're also really lucky to have Neha Kumar working with us on our data and our evaluation planning model. And Neha has done an amazing job of coordinating these efforts, looking at our data system. One of our goals is to coordinate this across multiple sites. Neha, maybe share a little bit with us around what we can be looking forward to in terms of working on this piece.
Sure, thank you. So yeah, I just wanted to provide a little bit of an update on our data collection processes and then the data system that we're building. So right now we're working on our minimum data set, which is information that's going to be gathered from all youth and service providers at every visit at an allcove center. And part of this includes a health assessment that we will be asking youth to fill out. And we've been coming up with this health assessment by talking to all our international partners, like at Headspace, Waihu, Foundry, and then iterating on their work by talking to local providers, talking to our youth advisory group. So we're hoping to just create this really holistic set of questions that helps us understand our youth in a very thorough way. And I've included this little prototype here on the side. We'll be presenting youth with an iPad at every visit, and we didn't want to bombard them with just a list of questions. We wanted to make the process like very youth-friendly, visually pleasing. So we're planning to just present this different iconography and then different domains of questions to not overwhelm the youth, but still hopefully get the information that we would want to provide better care for them. And we'll be housing all of this information within our data cove, which is the data system that we're currently building pretty much from scratch. And we're just really trying to make it customized to allcove and its needs, make it really flexible and user-friendly. This will hold all the information on the different screeners and assessments, surveys, provider notes. And on top of that, we're trying to build in really robust reporting capabilities within this platform. We want the provider dashboards to just be presented to providers to really, so they're able to have a really clear picture of the youth that they're seeing. And then we're also thinking about all the individual allcove centers, and we want to make sure that there's tools embedded within this data cove that allows them to look at different outcomes and measures over time. So that's what we're working on, and I welcome any input from you all, since we'll all be using this platform. to provide care for our youth.
Thanks, Neha. You know, and in closing, I just want to say how excited we are to work with you. Ana Lilia Soto couldn't join us today, but she's also going to be our state lead in supporting all the youth development programs across the state with all the different sites. And so we're particularly interested in being able to connect again with your youth advisors, who are an amazing group, link them to the other youth advisors around the state so we can really be building a broad coalition of young people sort of guiding us all together as we move forward. So thanks so much for including us today. And again, congratulations. We're very excited to be working with all of you.
Thank you all, and thank you for dropping into the meeting today. We're excited to continue our work together. I think one of the most exciting things we heard about from Ana Lilia when she was talking about even bringing providers or adults into the space, that the students and the youth advisory are actually part of those interview panels. So we're really excited to make this authentically youth-led, and we think with your leadership we'll be able to get there. So thank you so much for being here with us today.